سنتكلم الليلة عن حديث من أجمل الحديث وأحسن القصص، وهي قصة يتيم أراد الله لهذا اليتيم أن يكون سيد هذا العالم، يعني ما خلق الله في هذا العالم، كما قال عبد الله بن سلام وابن عباس وجمع من الصحابة: ما خلق الله خلقا أكرم عليه من محمد.
So today's in his speech and discussion will be a beautiful discussion and want to, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills and grants, to discuss, to highlight about this orphan individual that we find who ended up, as many companions that they mentioned, becoming the best or the supreme creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
لم يتهيأ له أب يربيه لأن أباه توفي وهو حمل، ولم تتهيأ تربيه لأنه توفي وهو صغير.
So we find that this individual, his personality, that we find never had a fatherly figure, a father one to cultivate or to nurture, to bring up the child, because we know that the father passed away whilst the mother was pregnant. And likewise, even after, the mother wasn't there as well, passed away as well, wasn't there to nurture and to bring up this child.
ولكن تولى الله تأديبه وتربيته، ولهذا جاء في الحديث الذي لا يصح سندا ولكنه يصح معنى: أدبني ربي فأحسن تأديبي.
So thus we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took this responsibility himself to nurture and to bring up this individual. And there are some narrations, even though these narrations are not authentic, but their meaning is correct, whereby you find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala selected or chose me or brought me up and nurtured me and taught me etiquettes.
سنتحدث عن مقدمة وعن مسائل. فأما المقدمة فهي أن الله تبارك وتعالى إذا أحبك علق قلبك بأعظم ما يحب سبحانه وتعالى، وأعظم ما يحب الله تبارك وتعالى هو هذا الرسول الكريم. ولهذا قال الله تبارك وتعالى: قل إن كنتم تحبون الله. إذا كنت تحب الله فعلا، إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني يحببكم الله ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم. الآيات.
So we find that before we go into the main theme, we want to mention inside the introduction something very important, that indeed if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves an individual, then begins to attach the heart of that individual to whatever they love, whatever they want to honor inside their life. And the greatest form of honor and reverence and love goes none other to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then after that, we find inside the verse, inside the Quran, say that if you do love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then indeed follow me, follow none other than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and indeed Allah will love you and pardon you and forgive your sins. The verses, or the verse inside Surah Al-Imran.
وإذا كرهك الله أبغضك علق قلبك بأخس أعدائه من أهل الفجور وأهل الشرك وأهل النفاق.
You find the opposite as well, that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala despises or dislikes a certain individual, begins to attach that individual, a heart of that individual, towards people that a person holds inside their heart or wants to be attached towards. So Allah attaches these individuals and makes them begin to show love and reverence towards people of bad conduct and bad behavior and rebelliousness.
أيها الإخوة، محبة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ليست شعارا يرفعها الإنسان، وليست دعاية، وليست قصائد يقولها الإنسان ويغنيها ويطربها، أو يجعل معها أفخر أنواع المعازف كما يدعي بعض الناس. إذ لو كان الإنسان هذا الذي يحب الله يعلق قلبه بذلك، فقد علق قلبه بعمل أهل الشرك، وصرنا نكون كأهل الشرك في ديننا. فإن هؤلاء الناس الذين وصف الله تبارك وتعالى من أهل الشرك قال عنهم: اتخذوا دينهم لهوا ولعبا، وفي الآية الأخرى: لعبا ولهوا. هؤلاء جعلوا محبة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عبارة عن قصائد وعبارة عن أغنيات يتغنون بها، ولكن إذا أردت منه صلاة الفجر لا تجده، إذا أردت منه المحافظة على الصلوات لا تجده، إذا أردت منه المحافظة على شرائع الدين وأحكامه وأركانه تجده من أضعف الناس. هذا الشخص يثق أنه على خطر من أكبر الخطر. لماذا؟ لأن الله عز وجل لما وصف المنافقين وصفهم بشيء فيه دين، أنهم يفعلون الدين، ولكن يفعلونه على شكل قال الله تبارك وتعالى عنهم في عدة مواضع، منها أنهم يصلون ولكن يراؤون الناس ولا يذكرون الله إلا قليلا. إذن هم يذكرون الله ويعملون الأعمال، يخرجون للجهاد ولكنهم يراؤون، يصلون ولكن يراؤون، يتصدقون ولكن يراؤون. إذن هذا الإنسان الذي يفعل بعض الشرائع من المسلمين ممن يشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ليس هو من المنافقين، ولكن فيه شكل من أشكال النفاق.
Dear respected brothers, we find that love and reverence and respect towards the Prophet ﷺ isn't just a claim or some form of symbolic gesture towards him, or the recital of certain lines of poetry, or to sing with him, or the use of a drum or some sounds that we find, and even unfortunately find beyond that the use of music in praising and to remember him. And unfortunately many of these individuals who have these symbols of, they think that they're showing love and reverence towards the Prophet ﷺ, you find in essence, you find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has attached the hearts of these individuals to go towards the people of shirk. Because you find that the people of shirk, as the Quran describes these individuals, are those who take their deen, their way of life, as a form of play and amusement. And another verse in the Quran mentions amusement first, then it mentions play. So for them, love for them is just a symbolic gesture. It's just making mention of his name, singing poetry about him, chanting lines of poetry, having singers to sing about the Prophet ﷺ. But if you used to look at these individuals, we are there for Salatul Fajr. You find that they're very rarely they are there. Rather, even the 5 daily prayers that we find to guard and to preserve them, you find a minimal focus towards that. So these symbols that we find, that they may show certain symbolic gestures of love and reverence towards the Prophet ﷺ, are actually is very clear danger upon these individuals, because they are implementing some element of the deen, but that doesn't become the complete deen. Even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about al-munafiqun, the hypocrites, being individuals who have some reverence towards the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who show respect. The Quran mentions that these individuals, they pray, but when they offer they offer their prayer, they only do it يُرَاءُونَ النَّاسِ وَلَا يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. They only do it to be shown, to be recognized by people, and very little do they remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within their prayers. So they may even do actions of jihad, they may even do actions of giving in charity, giving wealth. So they are doing symbols of Islam, but yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala still describes these individuals as being hypocrites. We're not saying here that these individuals are hypocrites. We're saying there's a share or an element of certain display of hypocrisy about these individuals who make this symbolic gesture towards the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
المسألة الأولى وهي أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لن تجد أكمل ولا أحسن ولا أجمل من خلقه، فلهذا لا تتعب نفسك أن تقرأ في أخبار العظماء حتى تكتسب منهم آدابا أو شيئا. ما عليك إلا طريق واحد سهل، وقد سطره العلماء في كتبهم، فلم يخلو كتاب وديوان من دواوين الإسلام إلا وفيه أوصاف النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم الخلقية والخلقية. وإذا أراد الله بك خيرا كما قلت علق قلبك بذلك. أما الذي لا يعلق قلبه بذلك هو يأخذ شرقا وغربا، يذهب إلى العظماء من الغرب ويريد أن يأخذ منهم من الشرق أيضا، أن يأخذ حتى في الجاهلية، وكذلك الذي كان في أيام الإغريق واليونان وإلى، يريد أن يكتسب ذلك، ولكنه مسكين ما دله الله على محبوبه. ولذلك الله عز وجل هو الذي شهد. أنا لو قلت لك، شهد للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بالخلق، أنا لو قلت لك أنت خلقك طيب، أليس هذا شهادة لك تفخر بها؟ طيب لو شهد لك صحابي من الصحابة أن خلقك طيب، واحد من الصحابة قال لك ابن عباس ولا أبو هريرة ولا عمر ولا عثمان ولا علي أبو بكر رضي الله تعالى عنه، قال لك أنت خلقك طيب، يكون هذا فخر صحيح، وفعلا تكون صعبة. فلو قال إن خلقك عظيم لكان هذا شيء مبهر ولهذا الذي وصف النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن خلقه العظيم هو العظيم سبحانه وتعالى. أعظم من في هذا العالم هو الرب جل وعلا، وهو أعظم عظيم. قال للعظيم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إنك على خلق عظيم. انظروا عظم هذه الصورة. ولذلك من حاد وأراد أن يأخذ الخلق عن غير النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، هذا الإنسان الحقيقة غير موفق، لم يدله الله تبارك وتعالى على محبوبه.
So we find that if we used to search for the most complete and the most beautiful and the best of individual, we have that individual right in front of us. We don't need to begin to look at the news and the information and the stories and narrations of the great individuals or personalities that existed before us. We find that near enough in all of the scriptures and the books that we find that ulama have written and compiled, that you find always speaking about the Prophet Muhammad, speaking about his characteristics, about his behavior, his personal traits, and even his personal appearance that we find. So the answer is quite simple. We don't need to look towards the east or the west and try to search and to find a personality, an identity, and an individual to follow. We don't even need to go to days of prehistoric Islamic times or to go look at the Greeks and look at other individuals to begin to find personalities for us to emulate, to copy. That's where we find this concept of praise. Who is the one that laid out praise, or laid out that this individual is the one to be emulated, to be copied, and is a fine character and behavior? Even we take it on a common basis and understanding, if the Shaykh was to praise one of us, to say to one of us that your character is good, each one of us would take that as an element of praise and goodness for us. Let us take that a step further. Imagine if a companion, Abu Huraira or Ibn Abbas, or may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with all of them, any of the companions, Umar or Ali or Uthman, was to say about one of us Muslims today that your characteristics are sublime, are great, you're a good personality, good individual. And a person will become boastful, and rightfully a person will become in a state of boasting, because such a praise is being given by such an individual or group of individuals. Take that a step even further, that the one who is praising and speaking about the magnificence, the sublimeness, the loftiness of this personality is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning Azim, who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the master of the worlds, is the one, the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is known. And He speaks about an individual, and whereby He mentions that indeed, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ, indeed your character is so sublime, so manifest. So whoever wants to find the best of characteristics, behavior, turns towards the Prophet ﷺ. And a person who's not been directed towards that, or their heart is not attached towards that, then in simple terms that person is not an upright individual.
ولهذا من عظمة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وعظمة خلقه وقدره عند الرب جل وعلا قال الله عز وجل ورفعنا لك ذكرك. قال ابن عباس لا أذكر إلا وتذكر معي، يعني لا يذكر الله إلا ويذكر معه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. انظروا الأذان في اليوم والليلة، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله، أليس كذلك؟ انظروا الدخول في الإسلام، لا يدخل رجل الإسلام بعد شهادة أن لا إله إلا الله حتى يشهد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن محمد رسول الله، أليس كذلك؟ والله لو صلى 1000 سنة ولو تصدق بجبال الدنيا لم يقبل منه حتى يشهد أن محمد رسول الله. ولهذا قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كما في الصحيح والذي نفسي بيده لا يسمع بي يهودي أو نصراني ثم لا يؤمن بالذي أرسلت به إلا كان من حطب جهنم مهما كان. ولهذا قال الله عز وجل في كتابه عاملة ناصبة لو أنهم شهدوا أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم نفعهم ذلك، ولكن قال الله تبارك وتعالى عاملة ناصبة تصلى نار حامية.
So we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned another passage inside the Quran speaking about the magnificence or the greatness of the Prophet Muhammad whereby he mentioned وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ, indeed we raised high your remembrance. And Ibn Abbas mentioned that wherever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioned, you find He is mentioned, meaning the mention of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we break this down, we analyze this, we find that inside the adhan, the call of the prayer, you find that we make testimony that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that's to be called and to be worshipped. Likewise, make the testimony testifying the prophecy of the prophethood of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even beyond that, we find that the one who enters into faith, makes two testimonies of faith, doesn't just declare the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then has to testify to the truthfulness and the prophethood of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if a person could pray for 1,000 years, could do so many righteous actions, but if they do not testify to the prophecy and the prophethood of the Prophet Muhammad, then all this is null and void, will not be accepted for that individual. Thus we find in prophetic traditions that in his hand is my soul, that there is not a Jew or Christian who does not submit, who hears about it, does not submit to this call or submit to me or recognize me, that this individual will be amongst the people of the hellfire, become the fuel of the hellfire. And likewise a passage or verse inside the Quran, that these people are tiring themselves out, that they're just striving and struggling inside their actions that they're doing, but these actions are futile, and they end up becoming the fuel or becoming into the hellfire because of failing to testify to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
المسألة الثانية أن العلماء رحمهم الله قسموا شمائله عليه الصلاة والسلام، قسموها إلى قسمين: صفاته الخلقية وصفاته الخلقية.
We find that the second point we mentioned, that the ulama have divided that the characteristics of the Prophet Alayhis Salaatu Wassalam are divided into two broad categories: those which are specific towards his characteristics of his character and his behavior and his actions, and those which are specific towards his bodily structure and his features.
فمن أبرز صفاته الخلقية هو التوسط والاعتدال، فكان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ربعة من الرجال وسطا، ليس بالطويل ولا بالقصير، وكذلك تناسق خلقه، وهذه إحدى خصائصه صلى الله عليه وسلم. فكان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ليس بالطويل ولا بالقصير، وليس بالأبيض الأمهق يعني الشديد البياض الذي يقارب البرص، وليس كذلك هو بالآدم يعني الأسمر، إنما بياضه مشرب بحمرة صلى الله عليه وسلم. وهكذا شعره، وهكذا تباعد ما بين منكبيه، وهكذا يديه، إلا أن فمه عليه الشريف صلى الله عليه وسلم كان فيه شيء من سعة، وهذا له فائدة عند العرب الذين يقرؤون في كتب الأدب كالبيان والتبيين الجاحظ، وكذلك الأدب ابن قتيبة والعقد وغيرها. العرب يتمدحون بسعة الفم، لماذا؟ لأنه أقوى في الخطابة، وكذلك هو أجمل في القرآن. اسمعوا مثلا صوت الشيخ بن شاوي، صحيح؟ الشيخ حصري، تلاحظون يعني الفم وقوة الصوت آتية من الآلة هذه، الآلة الموجودة في اللسان والفم والأسنان وإلى آخره. فلهذا أحب الله تبارك وتعالى أن يكون كذلك. وكان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا تكلم أسمع الناس. وكان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا صوت بالقرآن، على صوته بالقرآن أو قرأ في الصلوات، كان من جمال صوته صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه يتأثر الرجل الكافر بذلك. وقد جاء هذا في حديث جبير المطعم وغيره في صحيح مسلم، قال: سمعت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أول ما سمع من النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم سورة الطور، قال: فاهتز لها قلبي، لما سمع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من جمال الصوت.
So we find that amongst the physical features of the Prophet ﷺ that we find that he was neither short and neither was he tall, but of a medium or middle height, that we find in a medium build as well. Likewise, we find a discussion about the skin or the texture of the Prophet ﷺ, that we find that neither was he too white or fair skinned, that you find that it could be a symbol of leprosy or skin disease that could appear upon him. Neither was he so much of a darker complexion, but rather of not a yellow complexion, but maybe elements of redness that were inside there. Likewise, we find descriptive nature about the type of hair that the Prophet ﷺ had, his shoulders, etc. That we find all in proportion that we find. One element that we find, however, that his mouth, there was an element of wideness inside his mouth. The Shaykh began to speak about this was something which is rather praiseworthy amongst the Arabs that we find, and people of adab and literature, etc. that we find, that they would highlight this point, because this would give a strength in the deliverance of the voice and the use of the voice that we find. That's why we look at the famous reciter Minshawi, that we find that he had a deep, a very powerful voice in the use of his lips and his mouth and the whole instrumental cord, if we can use such words, of his throat, etc., that we find. So when the Prophet ﷺ, when he spoke, he was the most heard individual in the strength of his voice that we find. And even we find inside the use of the Quran, he would raise his voice, and you find there was an element of beauty in the recital of the Quran that he would present, to such a degree that even the non-Muslims, they would recognize the beauty, recognize that power. As you find in the hadith inside Sahih Muslim, you find that this one individual, he says that when he first heard the Quran, when he heard Surah Al-Tur, that we find in the 52nd chapter of the Quran, it ripped open his heart, the power and the magnitude of this passage of this surah of the Quran.
ومن صفاته صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه كان من ضمن الصفات البارزة التي سنتكلم عنها أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان عليه ختم النبوة، وهو عبارة عن قطعة لحم زائدة على الجلد. هي الصحابة رضي الله عنهم وصفوها في نحو 6 أو 7 أحاديث، اعتنوا بوصفها تماما. والسر في ذلك أن الصحابة اعتنوا بها أن الختم النبوي الذي كان في ظهره بين جنبيه عليه الصلاة والسلام في الخلف هنا تحت الرقبة، أن هذا الختم لا يمكن أحد أن يفتعله، وقد كان موجودا في الكتب السابقة في الأمم السابقة، منصوص على أن بين جنبيه خاتم النبوة في ظهره، بين جنبيه خاتم النبوة، وكان عبارة عن حجمه مثل بيضة الحمامة، بيضة الحمامة كالعملة المعدنية هذه، بيضة الحمامة هكذا. وأيضا هي بارزة، حتى إن رجلا أعرابيا طبيب جاء للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ورآه هكذا، رأى فيه، قال يا رسول الله هو لا يعرف ختم النبوة، قال يا رسول الله أنا أستطيع أن أزيلها لك، أنا طبيبها. فقال له النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم الطبيب الله، يعني الذي أوجدها. فسلمان الفارسي في قصة إسلامه لما جاء إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم اختبر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بأشياء، أليس كذلك؟ قصة مشهورة في صحيح البخاري وغيره. ذكر خاتم النبوة، متى رآه؟ في آخر شيء جاء النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم جالس فطاف حوله، طاف يعني يريد أن يرى أين موضع الخاتم النبوة. قد يكون في الكتب التي قرأها يوجد خاتم النبوة، لكن لا يدري أين هو في الجهة هذه أو الجهة هذه أو موجود هنا أو، فصار يدور يطوف بالنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم هكذا. فانتبه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فأرخى رداءه عليه الصلاة والسلام هكذا، فانكشف أول رقبته، يعني في تحت الرقبة هنا بين جنبيه عليه الصلاة والسلام في ظهره، فرأى ختم النبوة فأقبل عليه يقبل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كما ثبت هذا في الصحيح. إذن من علاماته صلى الله عليه وسلم التي كانت موجودة في الكتب السابقة هي وجود ختم النبوة. والحكمة في ذلك كما قلت لكم أنه لا يستطيع أحد أن يفتعل ذلك، لا يستطيع أن يأتي بلحمة زائدة ويركبها، ما يمكن هذا. ولذلك يراها الإنسان حتى يعرف أن هذا مع الصفات المتتابعة للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم التي سأذكر لكم بعضها، إذا تكاملت كما فعل سلمان، تكاملت ورآها، عرف أنه فعلا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
So you find that amongst those characteristics, those bodily characteristics that we find which are evident, which are apparent, some of them we want to touch and we mention upon, is the seal of prophethood, which was placed physically in the body of the Prophet ﷺ, that we find was a slight extra flesh, which has been narrated in 6 or 7 different ahadith that we find, showing the accuracy of the companions in narrating everything about the Prophet ﷺ. And this wasn't a hidden affair. This was something which was present, that was there between the 2 shoulders, behind the neck. We find there was a symbol of the seal of prophethood. And this seal of prophethood that we find was like a pigeon's egg, about that size that we find. That was the seal of prophethood that was placed on the back of the Prophet ﷺ. And this isn't something that a person can just place extra flesh on their body and just claim that. This was something which was placed there by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And rather we find this descriptive nature is mentioned in the previous books. All the previous scriptures, they spoke about this symbol of prophethood being with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And thus we find that when an Arab doctor, he came and he wanted to remove this, thinking it's some form of extra flesh, it could be removed, and saying, I'm a doctor, I want to remove it. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned that the doctor is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who's placed this physically to be there on my body. And even more than this, we find the famous hadith of the entering of faith of Salman al-Farisi that we find. And he tested the Prophet with asked him different questions and different signs and different things that he wanted to see. And the final symbol that he wanted to see, to visualize, was the seal of Prophet that he had read inside the Christian, or come across in the Christian scriptures. So when he came to the Prophet Alayhis Salaatu Wassalam, he began to walk around him, to look at him, because he didn't exactly know where the symbol of prophethood would be. And the Prophet Alayhis Salaam, he noticed this, understood what he was searching for. So he removed his shawl and he showed him. He showed him his back and showed him that this is what you're searching for. And when Salman al-Farisi, he saw this, he grasped, he went towards, and he began to kiss and embrace the Prophet Muhammad and embrace this, his love and devotion. This was the final thing that he was searching for, to prove that this is the final prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as we mentioned, the wisdom behind this wasn't something extra a person could just place and then claim to be a prophet. It was something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed on the blessed body of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this was the complete sign, that the symbol of the prophethood of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
ومن صفاته صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه كان يعلوه نور في وجهه صلى الله عليه وسلم، حتى كان هذا النور يميزه عن الناس. فأما قسم من هذا النور فهو من الله تبارك وتعالى، وأما القسم الآخر فهو من إدامة التعبد. الإنسان إذا كان أكثر دواما للتعبد يضيء وجهه. ولهذا قال من السلف في الحديث الذي لا يصح مرفوعا، ولكنه هو من كلام بعض التابعين: من كثرت صلاته بالليل حسن وجهه، حسن صار حسنا مضيئا وجهه بالنهار. والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان أحب الأعمال إليه أدومها وإن قل. المداومة على الطاعة تورث النور، كما هو في القلب في الباطن كذلك تورث النور في الظاهر. ولذلك جاء رجل من خارج المدينة لم يرى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أبدا، هاجر إلى المدينة وسمع أوصاف النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، قيل له إن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم شكله كذا وكذا وكذا أوصافه، ولكن لا يستطيع الإنسان أن يميز. مهما قيل لك عن وصف إنسان لو بحثت عنه بين الناس لا تجده، حتى يقال لك هذا هو فلان، أليس كذلك؟ ولكن لما دخل المدينة ورأى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في بين الناس، لما رآه قال هذا رسول الله، ميزه من بين سائر الناس. وقد جاء هذا في عدة أحاديث أن أناسا كانوا يأتون من خارج المدينة فينظرون فيرون النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، حتى قال البراء بن عازب رضي الله عنه: كنت في ليلة من الليالي أنظر إلى وجه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وأنظر إلى القمر كان بدرا. قال سبحان الله، فوالله لهو أضوأ من القمر، أشد نورا من القمر. وجهه يبين في الليل، حتى في الليل يبين النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وجهه من بين الناس. هذا كما قلت لكم جزء منه هو من الله تبارك وتعالى. لذلك تجد الصالحين أكثرهم نورا، سبحان الله، أكثرهم ماذا؟ هو الذي أكثرهم إدمانا للتعبد. والله العظيم إنك لتأتي، أنا أدرس في المسجد النبوي وأنتم زرتم المسجد النبوي، ترى أناسا كثيرين من أصحاب التعبد في هذا المسجد تميزهم من بين سائر الناس، أليس كذلك؟ والله العظيم بعضهم بشرته سمراء، ولكن سبحان الله كأن النور بين في وجهه. لماذا؟ من إدمان التعبد وكثرة التعبد لله عز وجل. لا تجد الناس في التعبد في العالم أكثر من المسجد الحرام والمسجد النبوي. لماذا؟ لأن الناس يأتون هناك لقصد التعبد، لكن في مساجدنا هذه في كل بلاد المسلمين الحمد لله خير، وفي المساجد خير، ولكن يأتي المساجد هذه شخص يريد أن يصلي وشخص لا يريد أن يصلي، وشخص يريد أن يصلي قليلا وشخص يريد أن يصلي كثيرا، شخص نيته قليلة وشخص نيته كثيرة. ولكن في الحرمين ما يأتي الإنسان من كل فج عميق كما وصف الله إلا أنه يريد وجه الله والدار الآخرة.
Amongst the symbols or the characteristics of the Prophet ﷺ, which are apparent and visible that the person can see, is the nur, the light that will emanate from his face. You find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives this to certain individuals. This could be a light that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He blesses or bestows upon that individual. And likewise, another way of gaining or increasing this light is via excessive worship that we find. Thus we find that some narrations, even though they're not authentic, but the meaning can be acceptable, as the Shaykh mentions, that a person who prays at night, you find that their face is beautified, is enlightened in the morning. An element of nur is visible upon their face. And the Prophet ﷺ, that nur was visible upon his face. And his worship that we find was one of consistency, regular worship that we find. As we find in narration that we find, the most beloved actions to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are those actions which may even be small but which are done on a regular basis. So when a person gets engrossed inside ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it becomes not just nur inside the qalb, in the heart of the individual. That nur emanates beyond that. It emanates, becomes zahir, apparent upon their body. And this was something which was specific, blessed to the Prophet. It became eminent, the nur that was visible on his face and around him that we find. And thus we find that an individual who would come from outside of Medina, who made the hijrah, came into Medina, people before that, prior to that, spoken about the Prophet ﷺ, that he was like this, he looks like this, and his person is like this. So now he wants to discover who this individual is. Just like if we took this example for us, that if somebody describes an individual, come to a gathering, most times we cannot predict who that individual is or decipher who that individual is. But as for the Prophet Alayhis Salaatu Wassalam, when this individual entered into a gathering, straight away he pointed and said that this is the Messenger of Allah. It became visible that this is the Messenger of Allah because of the nur that was present upon his face. This has to be recognized. Many numerous ahadith that the companions or individuals highlighted this is the Messenger of Allah. Amongst them we find showing the clear representation of the nur and the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the hadith of Bara ibn Azib that we find, whereby he said that I looked at the moon, a full moon, the moon which is on the 13th, the 14th, 15th each month, the full moon. I looked at that, and then I compared and I looked at the blessed face of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Remember, it's a dark night, the moon is shining at its brightest, and he said that I concluded that the face of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is more beautiful than the moon. It's more beautiful than the actual moon, is the blessed face of the Prophet. That's why you find as-salihin, there you find a radiance. It hasn't got anything to do with naturally the skin color of the individual. The person could be dark in complexion or reddish in complexion. It's a beauty that is delivered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon the individual, becomes visible. And to send home this message, the Shaykh mentioned that when you come to Medina, I'm sure that all of us have mentioned, we've been to the Masjid of the Prophet, you find that there are people there, Salihin, the Shaykh has visualized and seen that you can see these are people of kathratul ibadah, excessive worship. Not like us today, obviously not to look down upon any individual. People, they come, they pray, they go. Person's intentions are different. Some people extend their prayers, some people pray extra, etc. That's normal, that's human beings in the environment that we live in. But when you're coming specifically to this location, as the Quran mentions, kulli fajjin amiq, from every deep crevice, valley, ravine, you come to this place. Why are people coming there? Why are people coming to that location? Is to excel inside their ibadah. And thus you find that the most devotion and commitment that you find amongst people will be at the time where they're in the Masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
سأذكر صفة واحدة من صفاته الخلقية صلى الله عليه وسلم، وهي كثيرة، ولكن سنذكر واحدة هي مذكورة في الكتب السابقة، يعني في صحف إبراهيم وصحف موسى والتوراة والإنجيل والزبور. يعني ما من نبي بعثه الله إلا وذكر وصف نبيه صلى الله عليه وسلم ووصف أصحابه الذين معه. كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من صفاته حتى يعرفها كل الناس وتسامعت بها العرب والناس، أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان لا يقابل السيئة بالسيئة. ولأجل ذلك جاء رجل ومع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان نائما في غزوة من الغزوات، فتسلل هذا الرجل الأعرابي ورأى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قد علق سيفه، فأخذ السيف والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم نائم، فأشار إليه هكذا، طعن في جنبه، قال له قم، من يمنعك مني؟ فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم الله. فسقط السيف وقد رعب الرجل، فأخذ النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم السيف وقال أنت من يمنعك مني؟ قال يا محمد كن خير آخر. يعرف أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يقابل السيئة بالسيئة. فجاء النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وانتبه بعض الصحابة إلى هذا الرجل وهموا بقتله، قال دعوه اتركوه. ثم إن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال له ترى هذه الغنم مجموعة من الغنم ليست قليلة، قال خذها لك واذهب بها. فالرجل لم يكاد يصدق، فلما ذهب إلى قومه حكى لهم القصة وقالوا له إذن ما هذه الإبل والبقر والغنم هذه؟ ما هذه؟ قال أعطانيها، فظنوا أنه سرقها. قال لا بل أعطانيها، ثم قص قصته. فقال لهم قومه ما هذه بعطية إلا عطية نبي، يعني ما يمكن أن يفعل هذا إلا نبي من الأنبياء. يعني إنسان لو ملك من الملوك تأتي لقتله ماذا يفعل بك؟ سيقتلك، حتى لو عفى عنك ربما يقول كذا. لكن أن يعطيك عطية ضخمة هذا لا يعرف في التاريخ. ولذلك صفوان بن أمية في القصة الأخرى لما كانت أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم غنم من حنين في غزوة حنين غنائم كثيرة جدا، حتى إن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم غنم واديين، وادي كله من البقر والإبل والغنم والوادي الآخر. فقام صفوان بن أمية، وتعرفون عداوته للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، حتى هم بقتل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، تمال على قتله، وجاءوا إلى المدينة لقتله عليه الصلاة والسلام. مع ذلك النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لما دخل مكة قال لي صفوان وقومه أبو سفيان ما ترون أني فاعل بكم؟ قالوا أخ كريم وابن أخ كريم. قال اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء. أثر هذا فيه، ما يقابل السيئة بالسيئة. وأخذ معه صفوان بن أمية لفتح الطائف وغزو ثقيف هوازن. والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ما هو يعرف أنه كافر، ولكنه هو لا يريد منه صلى الله عليه وسلم يقاتل، يريد بس أن يرى أخلاق المسلمين حتى في الحرب. فلما غنم أصحاب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، غنم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وأصحابه غنائم حنين، جاء صفوان فوق جبل ورأى كثرة الوادي، كله وادي مملوء، يعني قد يكون 6 مليون 7 مليون 10 مليون يعني جنيه استرليني ثمنها من الإبل والبقر والغنم. فجاء النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من خلفه وقد رأى هذا صفوان بن أمية هذا الكم الهائل، ما لم ير مثله في حياته من كثرته، متعجبا من هذه الغنائم، شيء لم يره ولم يقرأه حتى في كتب الأدب ولا في الشعر من كثرته. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم له أيسرك يا أبا أمية أن يكون هذا لك؟ قال ومن منا لا يسره ذلك؟ في أحد لا يسره أن يكون له هذا المال؟ قال يا أبا أمية هو لك. انظروا، هذا الرجل قال كلمة بعد أن دخل مكة، قال لزوجته، قال والله ما على وجه الأرض أبغض إلي من وجهه، فصار وجهه من أحب الوجوه إلي. سبحان الله. لماذا؟ النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يعرف أن كثير من بني آدم كيف يتعامل معهم؟ بأي شيء؟ بالدينار والدرهم، فعرف كيف يتعامل معهم. ولهذا النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان من خلقه أن كل من عاداه لم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يفعل بهم شيء، بل كان يكرمهم غاية الإكرام، سوى نفر قليل في غزواته، هذا استثناء، هذا له محل آخر، يعني له محل آخر. يعني من ذلك أن رجلا النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من عليه من أسرى بدر، من عليه وأكرمه وأحسن إليه وعفى عنه، ثم إنه رجع لذبح المسلمين. لا، هذا الرجل لا، هذا هنا لا يكون هنا عفو، وليس مكانه المناسب هذا، لأنه لو عفي عنه أيضا سيرجع مرة أخرى يقتل الناس من المسلمين. لذلك النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أمر بقتله ولو وجد متعلقا بأستار الكعبة. وزيادة على ذلك كان يشبب، يتكلم في نساء المسلمات المؤمنات.
So, speaking about the characteristics of the Prophet ﷺ that we find in the characteristic that we want to mention, which was a common trait that was displayed by the Prophet ﷺ. It's not just a trait that exists whilst he was a prophet, but something which has been documented before he became a prophet in the previous scriptures, in the scriptures of Ibrahim and book of Moses that we find, the Psalms that were given to Dawood, etc. And even amongst the common Arabs, they knew that there was going to be a specific characteristic and behavior and etiquette of the Prophet ﷺ, which was that he would never meet a bad deed with another bad deed. Never meet evil or recompense something in harm on evil, recompense it with harm or evil towards an individual. And numerous examples of this have been displayed by the Prophet ﷺ, whereby amongst ones of the stories that we find, whereby an individual who wanted to seek the Prophet ﷺ saw him resting underneath a tree, and as the Prophet ﷺ had left his sword hanging there, he grabbed the sword and he told the Prophet ﷺ to stand, and then pointed the sword at him and said to him that, who is going to protect you, who is going to save you now? And the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that's going to protect me, and the sword dropped from his hand. And now the Prophet took the sword and pointed it towards him and said to him, who is going to protect you, going to save you? And obviously the man was full of fear. So now he tried to remind the Prophet that be one who takes a captive in a good manner, knowing what we're trying to highlight, that the Prophet ﷺ would not harm him, would not go back and try to seek retribution upon him. Even though some of the companions, they wanted to attack and to kill this individual. Yet the Prophet ﷺ went a step further. He didn't just offer him a sheep or a lamb, so he offered him a whole gathering of cattle and said to this individual that, take all this property, this belongs to you. So this individual is taken back with this. So when he returns back to his people and a raid was taking place, some of them are thinking that maybe he may have stolen it or taken it back, but when they ponder and they reflect, then this characteristic becomes visible to them, that the only person who can do something like this has to be a prophet who conducts himself in this manner. And even in today's world that we find, if a person, imagine a king or a ruler that we find, a person goes to attack a king, do you think the king is just going to turn around and forgive that individual? For definitely the king is going to execute that individual or torture that individual. Or do you think the king is going to turn around and give a gift to the individual sought to take their life, try to attack and kill them? He's going to give them some wealth, some property, and say that you are now free. And this has been displayed on many occasions. We find in the famous the story of Safwan that we find, Ibn Umayyah that we find, about whereby the Battle of Hunayn, whereby that not just a valley, but two valleys of immense treasures of cattle was captured and taken, the booty during this warfare that we find. What was the concept and the behavior of the Prophet during this? And what was visualized? And this individual, he wanted to just visualize, see how the Prophet would conduct himself and how he would engage in warfare and how he would engage with the people around him. And you find that when the Prophet ﷺ became victorious, when they all complained, when they knew that he could retaliate against them, so what did he say to them? How did he respond to them? He said, all of you go. That you are tulaqa, you're all free, you're scout free to do whatever you want to do. The Prophet ﷺ knew the psyche of human beings. He knew that the son of Adam, there's something that the individual, their life revolves around. It's about materialism. It's about wealth. It's about property. It's about honor. And the Prophet ﷺ was very, very quick and very swift to present that to people. And thus you find that you study the value of these valleys that you find. It could be maybe 6 to 7 million dollars or whatever currency. It could be the value what was there. So when Safwan, he saw a whole valley, something he's never seen in his entire life. 2 valleys full of cattle. This was something which was pleasing to him, just visualizing and seeing this. But look at the psyche of the Prophet. He turns and says to him that, are you happy? Does this make this happy to see all of this? He says, how about if all this was to be given to you? How would you feel then? This was the Prophet. These are people who tried to harm him, tried to kill him, tried to execute him. But he, as we can use the word reverse psychology, turned these individuals, knowing that which would make them tick, would offer that to them to become enter into the fold of Islam. That's why this same individual said to his wife, he said that the most despicable face on the face of this earth was the face of the Prophet, and now today the most desirable face and the most respected face on the face of the earth is none other than the face of the Prophet ﷺ. And thus you find that his general characteristics were, whoever showed animosity towards him, he would always pardon them, show nobility, show kindness and goodness towards them, except for on a very few rare occasions. On a few rare occasions you find, the ulama of Sirah have collected, there have been a few rare occasions that he did not pardon certain individuals. Amongst them, a Shaykh mentioned that came to mind, is one of the captives of Badr, who was captured and then let to go scot-free. However, this person went back and he again tried to attack the Muslims, and the Prophet ﷺ said that even if you find him hanging on the walls of the Kaaba, then you execute this man, take his life. And on top of that, this individual is also known to have been spreading rumours and slandering the female companions, the women, the Muslim pure women, slandering them via his words. So this individual rightfully, at this moment in time, is not a moment of forgiveness and pardoning. He is to be executed.
أختم بمسألة أخيرة، وهي أن الله تبارك وتعالى إذا أحبك يسر لك كثرة الصلاة على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، بدليل قول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في صحيح مسلم: من صلى علي صلاة صلى الله عليه بها 10. فلو صليت على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم 10 مرات، كم سيصلي عليك الرب عز وجل؟ ها؟ سيصلي عليك 100 مرة. من هو اللي يصلي عليك؟ الله. ولذلك يعني من توفيق الله لك أنك تكثر من الصلاة والسلام عليه. ومن أجمل فوائد الصلاة على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم هو أن الله يصلي عليك، وكذلك من أجملها وأكثرها فائدة عليك أنها سبب لزوال الهم. إذا داهمك هم مباغت واستحكم عليك، أكثر من الصلاة على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. جاء في السنن والمسند من حديث أبي بن كعب أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في حديث طويل الشاهد منه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لأبي بن كعب، قال أبي بن كعب له: يا رسول الله، إني أجعل لك ربع صلاتي، يعني أصلي وأسلم عليك في دعائي، الدعاء الذي إذا أصابني هم أو أصابتني مشكلة أدعو الله أجعل لك ربع هذا الدعاء المخصص للدعاء، أجعل لك ربعه صلاة على النبي عليك صلى الله عليه وسلم. فقال: إن زدت فهو خير لك. فقال: يا رسول الله، نصف صلاتي، يعني نصف دعائي. قال: إن زدت فهو خير لك. قال: أجعل لك صلاتي كلها، يعني إذا أصابني هم بدل ما أدعو لنفسي أدعو لك، أصلي عليك صلى الله عليه وسلم. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: إذن، وهذه الكلمة الجميلة، إذن تكفى همك، فمن أراد زوال الهم فليكثر من الصلاة على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. لا يأتي بعض إخواننا يقول: لا، أنا أصلي مرة مرتين. هذا الهم كم جلس عندك؟ جلس يوم يومين. أنت أكثر من الصلاة على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، 20 100 200 300. عندنا بعض العامة يصلي على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في اليوم أكثر من 1000 مرة. بعض العوام عندنا لفرط محبته النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وتعظيمه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. وهؤلاء عوام. أنتم الآن أناس يعني درستم العلم وطلبة علم وأهل خير وتعبد. لو كلنا سألنا نفسنا لعلنا لا نصلي على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم 10 20 30 مرة في اليوم، ليس كذلك؟ ولذلك الحقيقة ليس هذا من التوفيق. من التوفيق لله عز وجل، التوفيق لله عز وجل لك أنك تكثر الصلاة على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. فإذا ما داهمك هم تمسك بكثرة الصلاة على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم. ومن أحسن الصلوات هي الصلاة الإبراهيمية التي اختارها الله لنا في صلاته في صلاتنا، وهي أن نصلي على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كالصلاة الإبراهيمية. وإن قال الإنسان: اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد، اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا محمد، هذا كل ذلك مجزئ. ولكن الأكمل كما أدبنا الله في كتابه: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا فقط، لا، صلوا عليه وسلموا. أقرن ذلك بالصلاة والسلام عليه صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. الحمد لله رب العالمين.
Shaykh concluded by mentioning, as we began with, that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to bestow love and place love inside your heart, amongst the symbols of placing His love inside the heart of the individual is giving that individual tawfiq min Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the ability to excessively remember the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Thus we find in the hadith in Sahih Muslim that we find whoever sends salutations and greetings upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send salutations and greetings upon the individual 10 times over. So if a person makes salutation greetings 10 times, then that will in return be 100 times From whom? From Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon that individual. And thus you find that the most beautiful benefits, or the ultimate benefits of sending salutations and greetings upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is gaining in return the praise or the salutation and greetings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And likewise, it takes away any form of, if you can use any element of disparity or depression that we find, or being upset. In a very long hadith that we find collected inside the Sunan and inside the Musnad as well, the hadith of Al-Obaid bin Ka'ab, that we find very long hadith, but the shahid, that which we want to take as a testimony, as a witness towards what we want to highlight, is that he mentioned, Obaid bin Ka'ab, that whilst making dua, supplicating to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when I'm calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how much of that dua, that supplication, should I praise or should I remember you? So he said that maybe a quarter should be spent praising and mentioning the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet Alayhis Salaatu Wassalam mentioned that if you wish, and what would be better for you, is to increase upon that. So he said that I will make half of my prayer. Half of my prayer will be praising and remembering and sending salutations upon you. The Prophet also mentioned that if you wish and if you want, you should increase beyond that as well, beyond half. He then mentioned, I will make the whole of my prayer. The whole of my prayer will be praising and salutations upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's, you find from this can be extracted, it will take away the person being upset inside their life, or any down feeling that a person may have, or depression a person may have inside their life. If we put this all into context, that we find that, maybe just once or twice we may say it, but depression or being upset or whatever it may be, it doesn't be there for a minute or 2 minutes. It could be there for a day or 2 days or beyond that. So we need to increase in our salutations 20, 200, 300 times a day. And the Shaykh mentioned that min al-awam, from amongst sometimes the general masses, they're far better than us. That an average that you find, they would send salutations and greetings upon the Prophet ﷺ at least 1,000 times a day. This is just a general individual. We're supposed to be students of knowledge, people who study knowledge, people who comprehend knowledge, people who are supposed to know better. What is the maximum we do in our day? We can all pose this question to ourselves: 10 times, 20 times, or 30 times in a day. And this shows a lack of tawfiq min Allah. A lack of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving us the ability to remember the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rather, we should be excessively remembering him, that we find, and not condensing ourselves. And we know the formats that we find. The ultimate format, which is akmal, and which is the best format, is what is known as what we call now Durud Ibrahimiyya, that we find, Salah Ibrahimiyya, that we find, the one inside the Tashahhud that we find. That is the ultimate way of praising the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that we find, the complete, based upon the verse inside the Quran that we find. That indeed, inna Allah wa malaikatu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. In this commandment inside the Quran, or you believe, and he excessively, abundantly make mention of the Prophet ﷺ and make greetings upon him. So this format is the most complete format that we say inside our prayer. But any other format that you find, ulama said it's all acceptable. Just in general, say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad upon his family members, etc. It's all formats which are all permissible and good for a person to do, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it from all of us, inshallah.